got my last Friday.
Oh, do you?
Did you?
Well, I
This
got one
Friday,
more
okay.
this Friday. Yeah. I hope.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We're gonna call this meeting to order. First on the agenda, I'm gonna ask Mr. Glover, if you will, lead us in prayer.
Dear Father, thank you again for allowing us all to come together. Be with us as we make the best decisions for our children here today, dear Father. Be with all our teachers and our students that are out for summer. Keep them all safe and secure, dear Father. Be with all of those that, the families that was in the bad wreck here, in Elmwood, dear Father, that, you may help heal them and keep them in your heart, dear Father. Be with the Cleghorn family, you may heal them, dear Father. Most importantly, dear Father, we thank you for letting the sun down across our sins. In your name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Got one board member that's absent, Mr. Apple. And I guess we'll start with the consent items. I hope everyone's had a chance to look over their board packets. Let's see here. If there is no objections, I'd like to have a motion to approve these consent items.
So move.
And Mr. Jones second. Some of this has to deal with money, so I believe we might want to do a roll call on that one. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Apple is absent. Mr. McCaleb?
Which one, what did you say, what's the number?
Consent items.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Glover?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Superintendent's actions. I guess you've all had a chance to look at that also. Any questions before I go on? If not, we're gonna go to new business. Policy amendment 6.313 Code and Conduct. 6.3131 Code of Conduct 7 through 12. First one was K through 6. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Manning,
Second.
Mr. Glover, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Second thing on the agenda is our workers' compensation insurance. I guess you've all had a chance to look this over. Had several different bids on it. Do I have a recommendation on which one?
That's my point. I've got a question about it. I don't,
Okay.
we're not showing a low bid.
What, Scott, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I may be out of.
Well, we've got all the bids laid out here.
Yeah, I mean, but like, usually like when you have like diesel and this, that, and other, it shows which one is a low bid, but this one in the paragraph summary does not indicate the low bid, so are we,
Well, in the past, we have, we've always bid it out, but we've also, am I correct, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, we've used Powell and Meadows
Yeah.
because of them being local.
Well, many times he's been the low bid straight out.
Well,
There's
I mean,
been
that's-
times, I think that's why you probably didn't make a recommendation
Yeah.
because left
I mean-
open for discussion.
Well, I mean, anybody can vote on it or whatever they want to do, but my point for asking was, we didn't particularly have one that showed low bid, but I would prefer that we spend our money at home.
The bids are on the next page.
Yeah, they're on the next page.
Well, I know, but it, you know, like I'm saying in the summary, it
I know
didn't
what you're
indicate low
saying,
bid.
I guess what I'm asking, is a recommendation on which company.
Are these apples to apples? I mean, are they same across the board?
They appear to be.
Workman comp insurance is basically about the same all the way through.
Yeah, if you look, I think,
Maybe,
Palmetto's was the second, they weren't the lowest, but they were the second lowest out of the four. I think we had 4 or 5 bids. I just wanted to ask Ms. Bratcher to come here. She deals with them on a daily basis, and I think service, is a lot. And I think, I think their board policy states to stay as local when possible, comparable, and I think it's very comparable.
Well, I'll do this then, and then we can go on with the second discussion if anybody has any, but I'd like to make a motion that the bid be awarded to
Well,
Palmetto's.
let's see,
Is that-
Mr. Manning,
oh,
oh, Mr. Gluck, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
You'll
I'll second
it.
it. Sure
Now
will.
we can open this thing up to discussion, if anybody else wants to discuss it.
I recognize I'll say this, just for the
Yes.
sake of saying it. I mean, number one, I like to spend our money at home when the product is comparable, and I think it's beyond that. And then also what you have to take into consideration, is accessibility when we need to speak with somebody, and that
Absolutely.
is right there. That's my feeling to the other board members,
And
why I feel so strongly about it the way I do.
you're exactly right about that. When if we have problems, we know exactly where Powell Meadows is, and if that don't suit you, I know where Mr. Piper lives. So,
Good show.
yes, sir.
How are these payments made? Monthly, quarterly, yearly?
How's the one
Payments made
they're made annually, aren't they?
annually.
When's this one due again? When will it be due?
July 1st.
And we'll pay it then. Any more discussion?
Thank you for always helping us.
Why is the first bid got 3 separate bids? First company?
He actually turned in 3 different, I guess y'all broker it out to different, he turned in 3 separate bids. 2 of his, I think, were actually higher. Isn't that right, Phil, the day of the opening? I can't remember off the top. And one of them, he had 3 bids. It was 1 representative. 2 of them was higher than Mr. Piper's and 1 was lower. So it's just from different companies. Represented by the same agent, I guess we would say it, wouldn't it?
I took that as kind of brokering out.
That's what.
I took it as kind of being brokered out.
Who's the underwriter in this? Who will be the underwriter?
You might direct that to Mr. Piper.
Who's the underwriter? Selected insurance? What state do they have?
Home office in New Jersey.
Any more discussion? We're gonna do this as a roll call. Mr. Jones.
I've got a little more discussion.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I was still reading over this.
Oh, okay, all right.
I still don't understand the first insurance group, it says three separate bids. Is that a separate, Alton's insurance group?
It's the 3 that started down there. Am I right?
That's just 3
Tracy?
there.
Clear Path Mutual, AmTrust, and Church Mutual.
So that's just a broker that's got 3 different,
Yes.
3 different,
Yeah.
3 different bids.
I got you, okay.
In other words, if we'd been in a truck and you brought a Chevrolet, a Dodge, and a Ford,
Is everybody clear on it?
That's the way I
Mr.
read
Jones?
it.
You okay with it now?
Yes, sir.
Everybody
I
else?
wouldn't understand, I couldn't find
Yes, sir.
where that group was
Right,
in there. So
right,
and I hadn't
right.
been up to since I got there.
Okay, we got a motion to second. We're gonna do a roll call. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. McCallum?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
yes.
Mr. Glover?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Let's go to item C is a bid approval for janitorial supplies. They're all been listed here, and everybody's had a chance to look at them. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Jones. Any discussion? I have no discussion. I need a roll call. Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. McCaleb,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Glover,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Item D, which is approval for the FY22 voluntary pre-K grant for 21-22. Do I have a motion on that one?
So moved.
Lewis, do I have a second? Mr. Taylor. In discussion?
What is this, Mr. Greg, what is this?
He won't know what this is, Mr. McCabe.
That's saying that we're accepting the money they're giving us for federal money for pre-K programs for 4 schools. By the
Benjamin,
way, I think they're overflowing. We got a lot of,
We have a lot
we
of.
got, wish they'd give us 4 more, which
Is
is,
this COVID money? Is this COVID money?
No.
no,
No.
It's a grant.
it's great. We've had that for several years now. Okay.
okay, this is money, so let's do a roll call on this one. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Caleb,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Glover,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Item E is the Board of Education's TSSE membership dues. This comes once a year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Taylor. Any discussion? This is money being spent. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. McCaleb,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Glover,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Myself, yes. New business F is bid approvals for gasoline fuel. And it looks like that Mixonaller is the one that had the, low bid for 1,200 gallons of gasoline. Do I have a motion?
So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
somebody.
Who's second?
I did.
Okay, Mr. Glover. Now, Mr. McCallum.
Do we do an inventory law of, how many oil gas is used if somebody picks up 20 gallons for?
Yes, there's a log, that log, yeah, it's got a counter on the meter, just like it does at the gas station. Shows what car it goes in, what number, who got it, who signed up, even down to the mileage. That way the mileage kinda has to,
Why do we use?
not that anybody hopefully would, but once you start getting 3 miles a gallon in a car or something, it'll be off. But we don't run many cars, what we run for school for the blind. And
Why do you think we need it without the ethanol?
why do we what?
Need it without the ethanol?
Because we run our weed eaters and our lawnmowers and our chainsaws out of that same tank, and
Yeah.
just think it's better on our motors.
Any more discussion? Roll call, Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. McCallum,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Glover,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Item G is bid approval for diesel fuel. This request here looks like that TriStar got the bid, low bid for 7,500 gallons of diesel fuel. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir.
Lewis. Mr. Taylor. Again, any discussion? If not, roll call. Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. McCaleb.
Yes,
Mr. Taylor.
yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mr. Glover.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, next thing is a discussion. It's evaluation of the director, which this could get serious.
I haven't seen it.
We need to take a break then?
Yeah, we might want to take, because this could take a while. Okay, each one of you was presented a form for planning goals, public relations and communications, board superintendent relations, and personal evaluation supervision. Oh, excuse me, personnel, I misspoke, personnel. The 81% to 100% is excellent. In planning goals, Our director got a 96%. Public relations, he got a 97%. Board superintendent relations, he got a 97%. Personnel evaluation and supervision, he got a 97%, with an average total of 96.75. So, Director, it sounds like everybody's fairly happy with you.
Well, I know y'all think I just say this, but I wouldn't do this if I didn't have people that supported me, and I felt like trying to do the right thing. And you're not always gonna agree, and sometimes we get told things and we sit down and we figure out but I do think that our board's got a good heart. We got my staff here is fantastic. You've allowed me to build that, and I appreciate that. So I want you to know that it's not because of me, it's because I've got fantastic people surrounded. You've allowed me to do that, and you guys have let me run it, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
Anyone else like to speak?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
He probably dreading this anyway. I mean, I didn't receive one, the evaluations, I had to beg you to give me one. I'm just picking on you a little bit, if you recall. But, you know, I have to say I just want to say about Director Smith, you know, we run a massive budget, all of us know. And we're fiscally sound because of the things he does. I mean, that's a grant-gettingest man I've ever seen in my life. But he keeps us in such a way that we can better provide for our children as well as all of our employees. And that, you know, right now, nowadays, that's a difficult thing to do. You know, everybody's looking for money. And I would say, you know, that just his attitude and his demeanor towards that, I truly appreciate. I watched my grandfather go through that, watched my uncle go through it. And you know, Director Smith, I appreciate all the effort you put in. If any other board member, I doubt there's anybody on here, but if you have ever not called him, I mean, that man answers his phone. I called him Sunday night at 9 o'clock about a question I had, and we were on the phone a good 30, 40 minutes. I mean, he's accountable, he's reachable, and he keeps us fiscally sound. You know, from my perspective, I don't know a lot more what you could ask for now. Is everybody going to think somebody's perfect? Absolutely not. I'm not, and he's not either. But from the position he's sitting in, you know, I don't know who we could have better count on, to be honest with you. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all. I mean that.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to say thank you, Mr. Smith, for the job you do. You do a good job.
Thank you.
If not, we'll go on to our annual policy review, and I hope you've all had time to look at that. Any questions on policies? Mr. Winkler, do we need to go into executive session? If not,
Just go.
yes, sir.
Could I get put on, I think I did, but I didn't do it. Can I get put on next month's, meeting, something to recognize our veterans every day?
It's in this package.
It's in the
Yeah, we've done it.
Where was it at?
It's in the
Consent item.
consent items.
D.
If you'll look under D,
What day did we set it for? Did it have a date on it?
It does.
I've been looking for it.
Consent item,
It's on D on the first.
but I don't think they're an exact
It said-
date.
Yeah, I think it read on or
Marty,
about.
what we'll do, we'll
Yeah.
get you a schedule, each school, they'll do a different, probably different days where people can come to them. But we'll,
Sorry, we showed it, I didn't see it.
That's fine, that's
we'll
no
try to
problem.
get you a schedule when it gets
Yeah,
close.
but yeah, that's fine, no problem. Yeah, that's the reason, anytime you got a question,
Yeah.
you need
Yeah,
to
I
speak
thought-
up and
I
ask.
thought it was in there, but I didn't.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Anything from anybody else? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
no move.
Mr. Manning? Mr. Jones? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody.